What's up guys, Luke here from Luke's Points and Miles. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that comes up fairly often, and it's something we really don't like to talk about. That topic is points devaluations. We can't stop it. All we can do is try to protect ourselves for when the inevitable happens. And yeah, at some point, your favorite program will be worth less. Not worthless, worth less. In this video, we're going to talk about devaluations and how we can prepare and try to protect ourselves from them. But first, if you are new here, I talk about credit cards, points, miles, cash back, and travel. If those are topics that might interest you, consider subscribing. And if you get any value or maybe some mild entertainment from this video, slap that like button for me and the YouTube algorithm. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Credit card, points, and miles devaluations. What does that even mean? Well, it's when a program in some way, shape, or form makes their points currency less valuable, either overall or maybe they just take away a certain redemption. This is something that really happens over time and all the time. We could really just talk for hours about programs that have devalued and made some of us super angry. Devaluations are part of the game, and it's something we all have to deal with. Fortunately, there are some ways to ease the pain and avoid the most critical hits. I mean, there are some programs that will announce devaluations. Take Hyatt, for example. None of the Hyatt fanboys will ever admit it, but Hyatt devalues their program every single year. What? Yes, every year, Hyatt reclassifies a number of their properties either lower, maybe from a category 4 to a category 3, but most often they're going to raise that category number on your favorite hotels, which will either make them more expensive or, in a lot of cases, make them less attainable altogether. Here's an example. Everyone loves the Hyatt credit card because they swear they get great value from the free night certificate, which is for a free night at a category 1 through 4 hotel. But every year, Hyatt reclassifies category 4 properties to category 5s. That makes them ineligible for that free night. Sneaky? Yes. Hyatt has even created a higher class, category 8, but only for certain partnerships, only to later include Hyatt properties and making them more expensive. And they have done that even after stating they were not going to do that. Now, I'm not trying to pick on Hyatt, but I just wanted an example that wasn't as obvious as some of the others. Recently, British Airways raised their Avios prices on American Airlines flights substantially, even to a point it's not a really good deal anymore. This was done with no notice, and I feel like the first and second time they did it just this year were both surprises. Now, how's that for frustrating? At least Hyatt gives you notice. So how do we combat these devaluations? Well, we can't stop them, but we can soften the blow, so to speak, with a few techniques or strategies when earning, collecting, transferring, or spending your points and miles. Sit down, crack open a cold drink, and I'll try to give you some ways to deal with this. The first one is the most obvious, focusing on transferable currencies like Chase UR points or American Express MR points. If you had 100,000 British Airways Avios and you used them for American Airlines flights, when those prices doubled, you lost half your value, right? Well, if those same points were still Amex MR points, how bad did the value drop? Little? None? It's surely not 50%. Ask me how I know. Same for when Virgin significantly raised the price for ANA flights, and then they basically destroyed the 50,000 Virgin point deal to Europe. That would really hurt if you had stashed up a ton of Virgin points, but keeping those in your Ultimate Rewards or your Capital One mile stash, then you would have been able to reduce that pain. Guys, this seems really simple, but there are certain things that we just do. Some of us really like to bank certain points, well, because we like those programs, and I'm guilty of this. I feel like when I have a large number of points in a certain program, it makes redemption options easier to pick. Example, if I have 500,000 Flying Blue miles, then guess what I'm going to use for my next trip to Europe? Next tip is to really consider before you make that speculative transfer. We're getting some great transfer bonus opportunities lately, and a 25% or 30% bonus to transfer, that might sound great. I mean, you'll eventually use that program, right? I guess. But maybe your favorite redemption will be long gone by the time your kids are old enough to take that trip to Australia. Don't get me wrong, I will still consider a speculative transfer if I see a monster bonus, but I also won't cry much if that action turns out to be a bad move. Oh well, I'm actually one that will risk it for the biscuit. In a more extreme move, you may avoid co-branded credit cards altogether. I'll be honest, in my opinion, I see too many folks getting too many hotel credit cards because of the shiny objects attached to them. Hotel cards are worth exponentially more the more loyalty you show that program. But if you have hotel credit cards from 4 different chains because they offset the annual fee, you might be missing the point. If you have that Hyatt card because you wanted to stay at that fancy Category 4 Andaz, and by the time you get around to booking it, that Andaz is a Category 6, well, that's not good. Whereas if you just stuck with the transferable UR points, you can still make that booking. Or not. And a lot of times I see people with 4 different hotel cards, and they're only staying 8 or 9 nights a year at hotels. It's puzzling. This next one is near and dear to my heart. We all like to say earn and burn, but let's look at this from another way. This generation doesn't even use this expression, but I will. Stop lollygagging. If you have Avianca Life miles and you want to use them to go to Brussels on a sweet spot deal, pull the trigger, man. Don't wait. Don't lollygag. Execute. Life is full of missed opportunities, and I'm not trying to make this a bigger deal than it is, but hit it. What's the latest catchphrase now? Do the thing. I make a lot of mistakes in the points and miles game because I am overly aggressive, but I can live with making the wrong, or at least the less correct move, but I don't want to strike out looking. No way, sir. This one might not be all that popular, but one way to hedge your points and miles stash is to include some good old-fashioned cash back earnings. It's amazing to me that marketing has taught so many folks that their travel miles are worth more than dollar bills, even when a lot of times they aren't. Get out of the mindset of points and miles being free, but cash back is part of my overall earnings. They're earned the same way. And you can mumble all the things you think you understand about inflation, but at the end of the day, cash is cash. If you are really worried about its value, you could find an easy way to earn interest on it without risk and still have it be accessible. Adding cash back is also great for those of you that primarily travel domestic economy. Finding deals is a lot of times easier than finding award availability. And if it helps, you don't have to tell anyone that you're getting 5% cash back on gas. Just tell them it's city thank you points. What about diversifying even more and adding in another program? This one might be a little controversial because some folks think that you'll eventually dilute your points balances, but let's keep it real. We all use the same 4 or 5 programs 80% of the time. So whether you are transferring from Capital One, Chase, or Amex, you just need those Aeroplan points. More issuers also means more opportunities for bonuses. Here's a good one. De-emphasize loyalty. Yes, you can get great benefits from status, but that normally won't beat getting the best deal. There are airlines that I do prefer, but I'm telling you 100% of the time, I'm taking the product that has the best route for the best price. I have platinum status with American Airlines, but I fly Delta to JFK, and I fly United to Washington Dulles. It's just more convenient. When you get old, you need more comfort and more time savings. It's just the way it is. So no need to be loyal. Stay at the Marriott next door to the stadium and walk to the game instead of Ubering back to the Hyatt. Last one, guys, stay flexible. That could mean a lot of things, and I'm picturing Stan stretching his hamstrings at his computer right now, but the more flexible you are with these redemptions and these brands, the better. Here's an example of how I do a lot of my bigger redemptions. Let's say we take our big vacation the beginning of summer break. I really only decide which part of the world I want to go. If the wife really wants to go to Ireland, well, she might get to go to Scotland. Carlos wants to spring break in Grand Cayman. He might end up in Puerto Rico. We will find the best deal for me and the family, and sure, there are exceptions. If Mama is very clear she wants pasta in Italy, Mama gets pasta in Italy. But for the most part, just take me somewhere I know everyone will enjoy. I don't need to be too specific. All right, guys, I have to hit you with a plug real quick. If you want more information on cards that earn these transferable currencies, check out my super cool card link in the description below. Using my link actually supports the channel, and it helps me provide you with videos like this. And if you like this one, slap it. Slap that like button. And as always, if you've stayed all the way to the end, I do appreciate you, and I thank every single one of you.